Hello, my name is Jari Paananen from Traplight Games, and I'm kind of stepping in the shoes of our CEO who was supposed to do this talk, and he knows a whole lot more about this topic than I do, but I'm going to try to do it like he would do it. So, the importance of communicating your vision when raising money. I'm kind of talking about our perspective of this. We have a game company that we do user-generated content games, and how we found our vision and what that kind of shows in our money raising. So, short history of us. We were first met 2007 in a THQ Wireless company. We were making Java games that you download with SMSs and so on, and founded this company when app stores kind of rose, and we started doing iPhone games. And we are now 26 people. We are based in Tampere, Finland, and we have raised $4.58 million around that, and so on. And the first game that we have kind of built on top of our knowledge and vision, user-generated content, is called Big Bang Racing. It was released last July, and this January won the best of 2016 iPad apps by App Store, so that was a great recognition. This is a short trailer of the game, so you know what I'm talking about. So it's basically a racing game where people create the levels. It's really easy to use. You just draw on the ground, and then you can start driving on it and put items on and so on. All the levels that there is, they are created by our users, and so far we have about 7 million levels, and the quality is really amazing. They are really, really cool. We have 3 different game modes, which is like puzzle gaming. You can race against your friends, and now we also introduced tournaments that you can kind of race against in one level. That's the core of our thing, and the whole point is user-generated content, what we do. So, finding the vision for your company. Where do you start? When you do something... Oh, I failed to mention, by the way, when we started our company in 2010, we first released a game called The Hero, put it up in the App Store, and did well, so that we were able to kind of continue as a company. But after that, we turned into subcontracting because we saw that it's not that big business for us, that making games. So we worked with a company called Red Links, which is the Ubisoft company, and they make the Trial series. And after that, also with Supercell and so on. And that was something that we did for 3 years, and then pivoted towards our own vision and tried to find that. And where do you find it, your own vision? Well, first of all, you have to look into your strengths, what you are as a company, what the people who are with you are doing. And for us, that was kind of the 3 founders. I'm the artist in our team, but there was also 2 coders. So one of them was 2D physics guy, always been doing these kind of 2D physics games and tinkering with those things. And the other one is kind of a systems thinker. So he likes to build big things. So that was really something that kind of geared us towards this building an editor that helps us along the way. So 2D physics based and building systems that work together. So these are something that we had before. We actually had a vision. We didn't know what we want to do. We just built a level editor for a game that we were creating and saw that there's something in it. I'll show another video. I hope this is not as loud as the earlier one was. This is what we had 2013. There was like a level editor for a crazy game that we got funding for a little bit. You could do everything. There was all kinds of ropes and soft body things and joints and engines, and you could create connections between everything and draw the ground and all these kind of things. It was not very mobile friendly. It was a PC thing, but we were creating a mobile game, of course. But very versatile. And this is something that we never thought that we would actually publish, the editor itself, but other people started to see value in what we had built. And that was kind of a validation for us that maybe there is something. And we managed to finish this game totally, but the kind of ecosystem of the whole App Store had changed at that point. The freemium had come out and so on, so it didn't make any sense to publish this game. There's all kinds of things you can make, cut the rope, or like pinball machines, or flying things and walk around and so on. Everything done with the editor. So that was crazy big and crazy, like thinking too much. So that kind of pivoted us towards thinking about how to make it more coherent. So we started to see something in that kind of thing that people create, and decided that our kind of goal should be towards user-generated content. And then we started to try to find funding for us. So we had been doing subcontracting, and the money was kind of running out, so we needed to also find funding for us. And that's when we started to do the deck. So creating a deck that kind of tells what you are aiming for is really, really important. Like, you have to have a clear vision where you want to go, and you have to communicate it really clearly also. You shouldn't have these kind of things that, okay, we have this editor that could be a user-generated content game, it could be something else also. That's really big and broad. So you should kind of narrow down and have one path that you trust and believe and you want to go for. You should find something that people can relate to. For example, in our case, user-generated content, it's kind of vague, but if we put it in something like this, that there's people creating for each other. So it's like an app store inside an app or something, that you create something, you create your own games and distribute them. That's something people can relate to and kind of pick up from that. It's a cliche to kind of do that, those kind of things, but it kind of works. And also one thing to mention about the deck when you're creating it is that you should do it so that it kind of communicates on its own. You are not always there to explain everything to the people who are reading it, so you have to be able to also understand everything from it on its own. Ask people about their decks. If somebody has been raising money, it's good to kind of go and poke them and ask that what kind of deck did you build. That it's also good to kind of reflect on those and analyze them and what are the good points in those. I'll show you a few examples of the decks that we have been building. Just like a few pointers here. These are from 2015 when we were raising our second or third round. And here we are like highlighting the core team, but the core team doesn't tell much, but we have just put everything big there. Supercell logo is there quite big for a reason. That creates kind of a connection that we have worked with these guys. They are quite big and so on, so people can start to think that, okay, they know what they're doing. And the other thing over there is we have Nikolai Nyholm, who's been an advisor for Minecraft. He's in our board. And that's also kind of a good connection to put, because Minecraft is a huge user-generated content game. And they've sold it for 2.5 billion or something like that. So it's kind of a good connection between us and them. Here's a few slides about our project. First of all, we are kind of relating ourselves in the bottom left to success stories on user-generated content. There is the Minecraft, 2.5 billion. There's Little Big Planet, which was a huge kind of a thing that we looked to when we were starting to build this thing. They have millions of levels, tens of millions of levels made by users. And then there's a Trivia Crack, which actually was not doing so well, but it rose to top 10 grossing after they introduced user-generated content questions on it. So they are kind of like good stories. Also, few points about the potential of user-generated content. We have put them really, really clearly. There's only 3 points that we want to introduce, and they are said so clearly that it's easy to read. You don't get bored reading this. There's also, I like this grid here. We have placed our competition or similar kind of games in here. And we are here, which doesn't mean that we are the best, but we just happen to be on the right top corner, which kind of gives the feeling that these guys are the best, but it's just the way we placed them in the grid. Here's a few slides from our product deck. This was sent to Apple in March and highlighting our upcoming content update. This is also something really what I recommend to do, like really put effort into the visuals of your decks and also personalize them to the receiver. That it's really important, because like too much text always bores everybody. They don't want to read it. So just put little blunt text where it says what it's doing, and then kind of try to evoke the feeling with the pictures. It tells so much more. And Here's from the same deck. There's kind of different approaches. There's the player experience, kind of what they are getting out of it. Then very important part also, there's the marketing slide. It shows that we have been thinking about how we're going to market this thing, like also happening at the same time when Apple is marketing. And also, important thing, stick to your plan. If you say that it's going to be out April 20th, then prepare for it and state it out and just do it. Once you have a deck, then I'm talking a little bit about the raising your first round. How we got started, we were just talking in a quite similar place like this, that there was lots of developers, and we just showed it to our friends. We were excited about the technology that we had. We didn't know where it's going to go or anything like that, but just kind of starting from with who you know. After that, there's other people who might see that, and they get inspired and curious of what you're doing, and they start to kind of expand your network after that. So it's really important to be just social and excited about your things. Be open. The first people that you draw in usually are the kind of angel investors, and they don't really give that much money. I think their role is to help you along the way, introduce you to the right people, and also kind of give you the good guidance in everything. And that's their role, and I think that's how they should be valued also, not by the amount of money that they give you or anything, but kind of their growth, their networking, and these kind of things. Here's our first deck, I think, of this product. We had a different logo back then, August 20th, 2013. So here's team experience. There's no team. We just showed experience because we were nobodies at that point. We still are, but now we at least have a product and so on. But at this point, nobody knew our name or our product or anything like that, but we had been working with these, and that kind of gives a validation that we might know what we are talking about. This was our, 3 verbs or words describing our thing, which still stick nowadays. Play, create, engage, which is engage is more social nowadays, but anyway, it's still the same product that we have been doing. And here, the last line, think of App Store inside an app. I think it's really, really corny, but it just works. Everybody gets the right kind of mindset when they read that, and they start thinking about the right things. Okay, the next thing, if you've gotten to the next step, that you are actually gotten the first rounds, then you at some point might need to get more money. And at that point, I think it's really important that you keep on iterating on your vision, on your decks and everything. It's really, if you go back to the same people asking for money, more money, with the same premise that we're going to do this, it's going to look really silly. You haven't gotten anywhere. So it's really important that you update your vision and you update the decks accordingly and kind of steer like that. We have now had 4 investment rounds, and every time there's kind of a different step in our company that we want to take, and every time a different story. What do I have next here? This is actually from late last year. I think it's this is kind of a refined way to tell what we are doing. We have been iterating on our decks dozens of times, and this is kind of one piece of it that tells a lot. So we do to games what YouTube did to video content. So at first it was television, limited content and only produced by the studios. Then comes America's Funniest Home Videos, where the content is created by the consumers, but curated by the studios. And then comes YouTube, where everything is open and the content creators are at the same time the audience and curators and everything. And of course, we want to do the same with games. We start from the old-fashioned way that you just buy them, then comes where people create content, but it's kind of separate from the main thing, but we're going to evolve it to something different. So this is kind of this is our way to tell our story, but it's a very good example of how you can it's understandable. Everybody knows now what we are talking about, what we're going to do, where we're going to go, and so on. And one thing that I like about this also, we're in the last slide, kind of in the same spot with YouTube, so it's connection between us and YouTube. So the people who see this, I see, it's a big business, big dollar. The obligatory Tekes slide. So if you are in Finland, you use Tekes and you should be grateful about it. We have been, from the start, we've been with them in different kind of projects. We have R&D, research and development project, Grow and Go Global project, which started in 2014, and now we are in the young innovative companies stage 2 at the moment. And it's a very, very, very big help to any company because you can leverage so much money with your investments. I have no idea how long I've been here, but here are the takeaways of this. Okay. Have a grand vision. The size of your vision must be big enough so that, like, when you go to the VCs and anybody asking for money, they can actually foresee that this is going to be $1 billion thing. It's really kind of, for me at least, it feels really silly to think about that I'm going to be the one who's actually making the next $1 billion company, but it's just, it's possible. So you should have that mindset that someday you might get there and so on. So having that open-endedness is a very important thing. Also keep improving your deck because your understanding of your business grows, and also your material that you're showing to people should reflect that every time. And keep in mind, visuals are very important. We've spent a ridiculous amount of time just drawing pictures for our decks, but I think it pays off because they can they tell the feeling more than words. And listen to investor feedback. We have had, I think, multiple times people told us that the user-generated content thing is dead, and then comes Minecraft, which was sold for 2.5 billion, which kind of proves that it's not dead. So that went to our deck right away, that you are wrong. And also, one thing that we kind of took from investor feedback was that we were kind of going multiple ways. Our editor was so big, so they told us that you're doing many things at the same time, so focus. So we decided to go on the racing path and so on. Am I done? Okay. I'm done. Thank you.